Okay, we continue in the Sikha on the halachis of Torah Shebal Peh, Einan B'Teilen La'olam. That's the title of the Sikha. We're on page 30, in Ois Dalet. The Rebbe is discussing the Pshat in the Gemara in Nida that says, Mitzvahs B'Teiles La'asad Lavai. When Mashiach comes, all mitzvahs will be bottled. The question is, how could you say mitzvahs are bottled? If mitzvahs are the Ratzon of Hashem, and the Ratzon of Hashem is Nitzchi because Hashem himself is Nitzchi. As the Rabbi explained by Riches this concept. So what does it mean that La'asad Lavai mitzvahs are bottled? So to explain this on a deeper level, the Rabbi will bring here the details of the Sugya and Masechta Nida that discusses this. So we began this already on last year. Let's start again from Siv Dalet. Yuvon behegdem adig ba Sugya the mitzvahs b'teilis La'asad Lavai. So we'll understand this by first taking a closer look at what it says there in the Gemara. In the Sugya of mitzvahs b'teilis La'asad Lavai. So the Gemara says, Beged she'avad b'klayim, a garment that this klayim, this shatan is mixed into it. Nevertheless, oisem imenu tachrich l'meis. You could use it for tachrichim to bury a person. Amar Rav Yosef, Zoy Meres. What is this? What's the novelty here? What's the chiddush? Mitzvahs b'teilis La'asad Lavai. That La'asad Lavai mitzvahs will be bottled, meaning that he'll get up for tchias hamesim and he'll be wearing these tachrichim, as it says that the mason will be getting up in the same begodim that they were buried with, and it's shatnez, and it doesn't matter. Mitzvahs are bottled. Amalei Abaye v'teimer Rav Dimi v'botva Omer Rab Mani Omer Rab Yanai loishonu el l'sabtai. Rab Yanai actually said no, you're not allowed to bury with tachrichim that have shatnez. You could cover him with it if it's necessary while he's being eulogized. If you don't have the proper tachrichim prepared, they can use it. To bury him in these tachrichim, it's not allowed. Why? Because by the haspid, so for a mace, he's not chayiv mitzvahs. But if you're burying him in this, so then he's going to get up at tchias hamesim with the shatnez. Rabbi Yechanan. So on this, Rabbi Yechanan says, "Afil lekayvrei." No, you are allowed to bury him. So basically, you see right over here, there's a machlokes between who? Rabbi Yanai and Rabbi Yechanan. Rabbi Yanai says you're not allowed to bury a person with tachrichim that have klayim. Or again, Rabbi Yanai says, Rabbi Yanai says you're not allowed to bury with tachrichim with klayim. Rabbi Yechanan, on the other hand, says no, you are allowed. Yeah. And the Gemara explains that Rabbi Yechanan follows his opinion. Rabbi Yechanan. What does it mean when the pasuk says that when a person dies, he's free? What is he freed from? When a person dies, he becomes free of mitzvahs.
That sounds like the times of the Yidden in the Midbar. When we left over there, we were free.
Chafshi, they were Zachanus Adaga, Shanechel b'Mitzrayim Chinam. That they were Chinam in mitzvahs. Yeah. Chafshi, free from mitzvahs. Okay, so now there's an obvious question here on the discussion of the Gemara. Okay, so if you followed along in the Gemara, there's Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef says mitzvahs b'teilis La'asad Lavai, and that's the only way to explain why a mace could be buried in tachrichim. Rabbi Yanai says it's Oster. Then Rabbi Yechanan in the Gemara holds that it's allowed, but the reason Rabbi Yechanan gives is different than the reason Rabbi Yosef gave. Yosef said the reason is because mitzvahs b'teilis La'asad Lavai. But Rabbi Yechanan is saying, by Meisam Chavshi, the fact that when he's not alive, he's free of mitzvahs, that's a sufficient reason to explain why he could be buried in the tachrichim.
When he comes back.
Let's see. So here, let's see what the Rebbe asks. So at first glance, this is difficult to understand. The reason Rabbi Yechanan gives that when the person dies, he's freed of mitzvahs. That's only working while he's buried, when he's not alive. So there's no Isaklayim that applies then. That obviously is not a reason that will explain what happens by the time of Tchias HaMesim, when he will get up Tchias HaMesim with the garments he was buried in them. Then the Isaklayim takes effect. The time is Rabbi Yechanan, the Bamesim. So the time period that Rabbi Yechanan speaks about, when the person is buried, it has no connection. This is not connected to the reason that Rav Yosef says, what's the reason of Rav Yosef? Mitzvahs b'teilis lasat lava. So what's going on over here? Rav Yosef is giving a good reason. Mitzvahs b'teilis lasat lava, so it could be buried with tachrichim. Rav Yechanan, though, is giving a reason that doesn't explain it. So what's the simple pshat in the Gemara here?
That's the reason why we could bury him?
That's what it says, yeah. That Mamesim Chavshi is a reason why it could be buried. But it doesn't explain it, though. What happens in the time of Tchiyas HaMesim? V'oid v'ikir. Another question, and this is also a main point here. The sugya.
You can't demand that from Rabbi Yochanan.
No.
What's your pshat going to be by Tchiyas HaMesim?
What do you mean? Why not?
Why not? That's a whole different existence.
It doesn't matter.
But it has to be explained, though. I mean, the question is, Rabbi Yosef came along and said, "Mitzvah teilis lasat lava." So how's Rabbi Yechanan arguing with that? I mean,
that's
in other words, the point of here is the discussion is about Tchiyas HaMesim. So Rabbi Yechanan is like ignoring that. HaMesim Chavshi, and what's going to happen to Tchiyas HaMesim? Doesn't say. V'oid ve'ikir. Another point here, and it's a main point here. Besugya de Tchiyas HaMesim is Sanhedrin. So there's the Gemara in Sanhedrin in the last pedic there. That's the main place where there's the discussion about Tchiyas HaMesim. Amar Rabbi Yechanan minayin le Tchiyas HaMesim en atayra. So there the Gemara says many different sukkim that are brought there. Rabbi Yechanan himself, he says, what's the source for Tchiyas HaMesim and a pasuk in the Torah? Shneimar unesatem mimenu es trumas Hashem la'aran hakayin. You're going to give truma. Who do you give your truma to? To Aaron hakayin. Aaron lo'ilam kayam. Is Aaron always alive? He never entered into Eretz Yisrael. Aaron never got truma. It says other mitzvahs that you give to a kayin, but those are mitzvahs that actually were implemented regarding Aaron, like Aaron lights the menorah, and then of course when Aaron kayin passes away, the next kayin takes over. Problem with truma is Aaron never got truma even once. He never entered into Eretz Yisrael. So why is the Torah using this lashon that you give the truma to Aaron? So this is the source for Tchiyas HaMesim, that Aaron HaKohen will get up for Tchiyas HaMesim, and Yidden will be giving him truma. So what do we see from this? So from this Gemara, it's clear that what's Rabbi Yechanan's opinion? She'ein mitzvahs b'teilis lasat lava, that he actually argues with Rabbi Yosef. He holds that mitzvahs are not but lasat lava. She kaim mitzvahs truma lachat Tchiyas HaMesim. Clear. So Rabbi Yechanan holds there, it's going to be the mitzvah of truma together with all other mitzvahs lasat lava. If so, how does Rabbi Yechanan say that you could bury a mace with the tachrichim that have klayim? He's going to be dressed in klayim. That's the question there. So basically, there's a contradiction in the opinion of Rabbi Yechanan from the Sugya in Sanhedrin, where it discusses the source of Tchiyas HaMesim, and what Rabbi Yechanan says in the Gemara in Nideh, that you are allowed to bury a mace with the tachrichim that are shatnez. Now, out of 39, the Rebbe says this is a question that Mefarshim asked Sidrei Tara. Sidrei Tara is a sefer from Masechta Nideh, one of the early Achronim. He asked this question. Okay, so the Rebbe here is going to give us an original understanding of this concept of mitzvahs b'teilis lasat lava. And with this, the Rebbe will bring a completely new understanding of what Rabbi Yechanan said. So we can explain this as follows. Rabbi Yechanan, the Gemara says that Rabbi Yechanan allows to bury the mace and tachrichim with shatnez. And the Gemara says he follows his opinion that kivin shemeis adam nasa chofshi min mitzvahs, that when a person passes away, he's free of mitzvahs. Who gam bia vehezbe ledivrei Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yechanan is actually explaining what Rabbi Yosef meant to say when he said shemitzvahs b'teilis lasat lava. It's clarifying the deeper pshat of what Rav Yosef meant to say when he said mitzvahs b'teilis lasat lava. It's not an argument. There's Rav Yosef and Rav Yechanan. Rav Yechanan is just explaining what Rav Yosef meant. What does that mean? So here the Rebbe tells us as follows: Hapirish, the mitzvahs b'teilis lasat lava. When the Gemara says, when Rav Yosef says that lasat lava, the mitzvahs will be nullified, what does that mean? What it means is that mitzvahs, which means that Hashem commands the person to fulfill these mitzvahs, that aspect of the mitzvahs, that's what's going to be bottled. Mitzvahs daike. The Gemara is saying the mitzvahs will be bottled. What is mitzvahs? Shegidra mutzivil adam. The simple meaning of a mitzvah is that there's a mitzvah, there's a Hashem that commands, and there's a person that receives the command and fulfills the command. The command aspect, that will be bottled. Shekiven shemeis adam. La'ach gemar v'dasa b'kiyam mitzvahs. When a person passes away from this world, when he completes his aveda in fulfilling mitzvahs, nasa adam chofshi mina mitzvahs, he becomes free of mitzvahs. What does free of mitzvahs mean? I know it's not talking about when he's buried, when he's in the cave, when he has no life to him. What's the chiddush? Chofshi mina mitzvahs when he's not alive. Oh, he can't move his hands and feet. He can't do anything. Of course, he's not going to be doing mitzvahs then. But hainu shegam ba'olam atchiyah. What this means is, even after the time of Tchiyas HaMesim, when we are completed, not only the individual Aveda of this year, but Bechlal, the entire Aveda of fulfilling mitzvahs in the time period of Galus Hayem Lasaisam, so now, Ein Olav Tzivoy, the Kiyam mitzvahs. What happens is, you're Chafshi, you become free of the command of fulfilling these mitzvahs. That aspect of the mitzvahs is you're Chafshi, you're free from. But the existence of the mitzvahs that the Eibishter gives us, he became nitzchi. The very mitzvah itself, that remains forever. That never changes. Mitzvah oimedes la'olam la'olme olamim. The mitzvahs stand and remain forever. But loibetur tzivui la'ha'adam. But at that point, though, it's not going to be as a command. Elabetur ritzaynoi shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's Hashem's will. It's Hashem's desire. But it doesn't get given over to us as a command. It's Hashem's will. It's Hashem's will. Wait, which kasha?
That the fact that climbing is also.
Wait, let's see. Let's see.
Still dealing with the issue.
Very good. Okay, the Rebbe will explain that. I'm not sure if we'll get to it today. Let's see. We'll try. But the Rebbe will explain. Now, what's the significance of this? What's the significance that the mitzvah itself remains? The command aspect of the mitzvah, that is bottled. The Rebbe explains right here. So the explanation for this is Hageder the mitzvahs. Adam. How do you define this concept of a mitzvah? That there's a command, you're commanding someone to do something. When you have two entities, you have Reuven is commanding Shimon to do something for him, or a master commands his servants to do something for him, so on. What is the concept of a command? Shayach rak, it's only possible when you have a human being that's a separate entity. Because there's an independent entity, and he is not automatically going to fulfill what Hashem wants. He's not unified. He's not bottled to Hashem. So therefore, Hashem has to command, and this human being has to receive the command, accept it, and decide to fulfill. The idea of a command is only possible when there's a separate entity. Once the Aveda of fulfilling mitzvahs is completed, what that means is, what does it mean it's completed? That means that the entire existence of the person, every detail, every iota of his existence, is completely penetrated with Hashem's will. That's what it means. What's a mitzvah supposed to do? Every one of the Taryag mitzvahs relates to another aspect of the existence of the person, of the Taryag, Kaiches, and Nefesh. Each mitzvah permeates the kedusha of the mitzvahs in that part of the person. So when you complete the Aveda, that means that every part of the person is completely permeated with Hashem's will. If so, here we come to the deeper understanding of a mitzvah. As Chassidus always tells us that a mitzvah means tzafsa, you're connected. Mitzvah meloshen tzafsa, not command, but to be connected. You're joined together as one entity with Hashem. It's all one entity. Yisrael, Al Yidei Reise, V'Kudshe Berichu, Kol Echad, Yidden and the Torah become one entity. This is exactly what will be in reality and revealed. So in that time period, there's no concept of commanding a person. There is no independent entity. This is the will of Hashem. The person, what is the person? The person is an existence which the Ratzon of Hashem is manifest in him. And therefore, automatically and definitely, the will of Hashem is fulfilled in this person. Through the existence of the mitzvahs, that's in the person. Right? The Rabbi would say, when you get to mitzvahs, that a person sees he has an arm. What does he have an arm for? Because the Eibishter has a ratzon that the mitzvah should be laid on the arm. No, so you have to have the arm with it, put the mitzvah. It's not the pshat as a gefintzach of an arm, and now you can throw a ball with your hand, and you could also do a mitzvah. No, The whole entire mitzias of the arm in was besteht sein mitzias. What is it? It's a heichet timtze. It's a place. It's a cheftze where the Eibish's ratzon is going to be fulfilled. That's what the Rebbe is saying here. Chadura. Chadura means that you don't look at the entity of the world. Oh, there's an independent existence. Now we can come and utilize it to serve Hashem. No, it's the other way around. Every single thing in the world will say, here, I'm existing in order to be used for a mitzvah. So there's no need, no reason for any command. The existence of the world is unified with what the mitzvah is.
Who is that Lashon Chadura?
Chadura, here you see it. Chadura, no, over here, right over here. Chadura, but it's permeated. Let's see what it says in Order 42. As an example for this, regarding the different items in the world that are used to fulfill the mitzvahs. So the Medrash tells us, the fig on the tree, the person will come too close to the fig on the tree, and it'll seem like he wants to come and pull it off on Shabbos. The fig itself will scream and say, it's Shabbos today. So what does that mean? The fig is not a fig anymore. The fig itself is permeated by Shabbos. This is not some kind of you can learn the pshat on this Medrash, but Pashtus is some kind of a miracle. Many miracles will happen, Lord. This is a miracle that the fig will begin to talk. Hashem opened up the mouth of the donkey, of Bilam. The Eibusher will make a nest that the fig could talk. But it's not the pshat. The pshat is that the mitzvah, what is a mitzvah of a fig? The mitzvah of a fig it's a manifestation of godliness. Today we see this in mitzvah of a tzimeach, and there's a fig, and now you can use it to l'shem shemayim. You could not use l'shem shemayim. You could be oivei isachel Shabbos or not. But l'asad lavai, the emes mitzvah of what the fig is will come out, will be expressed, and it will be screamed out of the fig. So the nest is really just an expression of the mitzvah of what it is, l'asad lavai. And the same is with the entity of all mitzvah, of everything that exists, l'asad lavai, all the mitzvahs. So that's really what the Gemara means, what Rabbi Yochanan is saying by Meisim Chavshi. Meisim Chavshi means regarding l'asad lavai, that the tzivui, the command aspect, is not here anymore. So now we can understand what Rabbi Yossi is saying. Rabbi Yochanan, rather. Rabbi Yochanan, right? So this answers the contradiction in Rabbi Yochanan's opinion. On one hand, he says you're allowed to bury with Kalayim. He agrees to Rabbi Yosef the mitzvahs will be batal l'asad lavai. He brings the source for Tchias HaMeisim in his sinas Truma la'arein la'achrei she'asa lichyos. After Tchias HaMeisim, there'll be a mitzvah of Truma. So what's the pshat? Ki ha'metzias then his sinas Truma tiye gam la'achrei Tchias HaMeisim. The fact, the existence, the mitzvah of giving Truma, that will be after Tchias HaMeisim. Avaloi begeder shal tzivi la'adam shenasa chavshi min ha'mitzvahs. But it's not going to be a command to a human being, which is independent, that has to be commanded. From that, a person will be free. And the Rebbe clarifies, Chavshi, l'mal yuseh. Chavshi over here means in the positive sense. Right? And usually, Chavshi means that he's free because he's not able. After he passes away, he's not able, so he's freed from this. But Chavshi over here means not that he's not able, but rather she'ein zakuk l'tzivoi. He becomes so unified with Hashem that he doesn't need to be commanded. Kim she'ein mitzias b'fnei atzmi. He's not an independent entity. He's one with Hashem himself. Now, this explains why, and here the Rebbe says an interesting pshat. So, because the question still remains, so why could it be buried with Kalayim? Sof. True, the tzivui of the mitzvah doesn't apply l'asad lavai, but the mitzias of the mitzvah does apply l'asad lavai. So how are you burying a person with Kalayim? Then he gets up l'asad lavai with that Kalayim. So the Rebbe says, Machadash hazay. So now you're allowed to bury him in Kalayim l'asad lavai. The moment he gets up at Tchias HaMeisim, lo yiyeh olav atzivui the Issa Kalayim. He won't have the command for the Issa of Kalayim. Av shebevadai loy yishor lavush b'Kalayim la'achrei rega tchiyah. Even though the Rebbe says definitely, the moment after he gets up at Tchias HaMeisim, he won't remain dressed in this Kalayim. But this is not something where he has to fulfill it as an entity that receives a command and removes the Kalayim from him. Or Shemizgalo Mizbata, there is the Kalayim. Because the will of Hashem will be automatically expressed and felt and fulfilled in the world So automatically, at the moment of Tchias HaMeisim, he won't be wearing Klayim anymore. What does that mean? So when you read the words with Pashtus that it says over here inside of the Sikha, what it's saying is that when is a person over the Isser of Klayim? If he keeps the Klayim on him, if a person is wearing Shatnez and he realizes he's wearing Shatnez, and the moment he realizes it, he removes it. So then he's not over on this Klayim. So this person gets up Tchias HaMeisim, and also love it when you get up Tchias HaMeisim immediately, he senses the Gilui of a Lakus in the world that negates Klayim, that says Klayim is not allowed. So immediately he takes off the Klayim. So he's not over on this of Klayim. And he's not even doing it as a command that he has to be told, and he may not listen. So why would you want to bury him and be machshel him that he may not take it off? No, it's going to be natural, automatic. As soon as he gets up at Tchias HaMeisim, he'll take off the Klayim. That's what it looks like that I was saying here when you learn the pnim of the Sikha.
Don't do it the first time, but don't bury him in the line.
But there's no problem though. There's no issue because the moment he's going to get up at Tchias HaMeisim, he's going to take it off immediately. Now take a look. There's a few others here to learn, but let's take a look in Order 45. The Rebbe says this even more. It's logical to say that not only he's going to get up with the Klayim, but immediately remove it, but even when he gets up, if he's wearing tachrichim, which are Klayim, he won't have that Klayim on him even for that first second. This is going to be automatically, miraculously. Since this is the Ratzon of Hashem. If the Medrash tells you regarding the figs, that lost Lavi, the figs are going to scream Shabbos Hayom. And it's not stamanes, but it's an expression of what the true entity of the fig is, lost Lavi. That the fig screams the truth. So too, the Klayim, lost Lavi, that he's wearing, the Klayim can't be on the person's body. Impossible. If the Eibush doesn't want it to be on the person's body, it's not going to be on his body. But Derech Nes is not going to be there. So there's no reason there's no problem of burying him with Klayim. Usually it says Ein Simchen Ala Nes, or but over here it's not Pshat Ein Simchen Ala Nes. This Nes lost Lavai is going to be the new normal. This is a Nes that expresses the new matzav of lost Lavai. So knowing that this person is getting up in that kuf of Tchias HaMeisim, there's no problem to bury him with his Klayim. For the
You're gonna get up and don't see it.
okay, even better. If the Eibush is making it says, but there's no reason for that Nes. There's no reason for that Nes. The Nes is that the Klayim can't be on the person. It's gonna go off. But maybe it means the chelik which makes the garment Klayim will go off, meaning this linen that's mixed into the garment of wool. So the linen threads will disappear from the wool garment that he's wearing. But he'll have the garment. The wool doesn't have to. There's no reason to shed the entire. Chelika Isser, the mixture of the linen and the wool, the linen will disappear, but the wool could remain.
Or vice versa, the wool will disappear.
Well, usually the wool is much more than the linen.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's take a look what the Rebbe says. I guess we'll work our way back up. Take a look in Order 44. The Rebbe says that there's a Sefer Maratz Chayis. This is from the Achreinim. It's in print in the back of all the Gemaras. So he says a similar point to what the Rebbe says here. Al derech mashakosiv Maratz Chayis lenidisham. Maratz Chayis says shegam l'shittas hatostis shemitzvos b'teilas lasad lavai. Tosfos says that the Gemara here about mitzvos b'teilas lasad lavai. Koi Maratz Chayis, he lived about 200 years ago. So he's one of the Achreinim, and you have it in every Gemara. So he says, it's not referring to the world after a person passes away, meaning in Gan Eden. It refers to the world of Tchias HaMeisim. And he says, and the Rebbe quotes his words, that what this means is, this is at the moment of Tchias HaMeisim, then it's bottled. In other words, the way he understands this is, the moment the person gets up at Tchias HaMeisim, he just got up at Tchias HaMeisim. So at that point, he doesn't have the command yet not to wear the Klayim. He just got up. But after that, definitely the Isser will come back. Okay, but obviously the Rebbe is saying a much deeper pshat than this Maratz Chayis. He's saying that's this mace. The moment he gets up, so he's not commanded. He just got up. He has to give him time to go and undress himself. Right, exactly. Or there's a concept called Kavod Abrius, That if a person finds that he wears a garment that he's not supposed to undress himself in the marketplace, there's mitzat kavod abriyos, a person is allowed to go home and change himself. So he just got up tchias hamesim, let him go home to, or let him go somewhere to get a new garment.
A person buried thousands of years ago, the tachrim is still so.
That's the end of the Chedushim. This is a Velasad Lavai. Not only the Eibishter will be Mechaya the Meis, but the garments will also, that's a Hanes, it's a Bederech Nes. The Pashtus, the Tachrichim disintegrated. The same begodim that he was buried with, that's the begodim that the Eibishter, that comes back. It's be'etzim, the chaymer is there. Elamai, it became mixed in, it became part of the offer. So the Eibishter is going to just bring it back together. It's not, it's taking the chaymer and bringing back the tzura of the levushim on this person. Okay, so his pshat again is that, of course, there'll be the Isra Lasad, but the Reggae gets up at Chis Mason, it won't apply. The Rebbe is saying much deeper. The Rebbe is saying Lasad Lavai, the Tzivui doesn't apply at all. The Mitzias of the Teva of the world is going to change completely. Or Mamela, the first moment he gets up, but Derech Mamela, the Levushim will be taken off. He'll feel the Gilei Lakos the first moment, he'll take it off right away. Or even more so, as the Rebbe said, but Derech Nes will go off. Derech Nes.
The whole word that when mitzvahs are not a tzivila adam, why do you have to say that?
By?
But this to answer this question of Yechanan.
Because that's the yisoid of the explanation of how b'derech nes it's going to go. Why should the Rebbe could stop saying answer? So lavai b'derech nes the levushim will go off. Yeah. Okay, but what's happens to be mechadish such a kind of a nes and doesn't say anywhere such a musig of a nes, but the Rebbe is giving you the concept over here. That la'asad lavai, the teva elam is going to change. That the getlichkeit and the ratzon Hashem will be part and parcel of teva ha'elam. So this vart that the Rebbe is saying that there'll be a nest that his clothing will go off is not a pestama vart, it's not a psachidish of a nest. This is an expression of what the true nature of the world is. Okay, let's see one more ha'ara here for today. Ha'ara 43. V'ulay yeshloimar shemash hakosav Rambam mutter la'asais min ha'klayim tachrichel ha'meis. When the Rambam says that you're allowed to make tachrichem for the mace, min ha'klayim, tachrichem l'meis, she'ein ala meisim mitzvah. And all the Rambam says is that meisim don't have a mitzvah. And the Rambam does not address the problem of tchias ha'meisim. Right? The Rebbe brought this already before. And so it seems like the Rambam is following with what Rabbi Yechanan says, which in the Pashat Pshat of the Gemara is ignoring tchias ha'meisim. So the Rebbe says, really, koi gamal azman shalachri atchiyah. The Rambam was referring not only to the fact that the meisim don't have a mitzvah, but like the Pshat that Rebbe said in the Gemara, it also goes on the time of Tchias HaMeisim. Sh'loyia oz hatzivui, the Yisaklayim. Like the Rebbe touched, ba meisim chofshi min ha-mitzvah means chofshi of the tzivui of the mitzvah, the command of the mitzvah, the Yisaklayim. Af shebevadei lo yishor lovish b'klayim. Definitely, he won't remain dressed with this klayim the moment after he gets up from Tchias HaMeisim. Shaharei halachas shal teireh, all halachas of Torah, koil gama halacha the klayim, einem v'teilim lo ilam, kibifnim will never be bottled. So that is the deeper pshat in the Rambam. Okay, beautiful, mamish. This is it's a completely different pshat in the Gemara, and the Rebbe proves it from the simple pshat of the Gemara. Rabbi Yosef said, "Mitzvahs b'teilas lasat Rabbi." Rabbi Yechanan is addressing the same point, and all he says is b'meisim chavshi. He's ignoring the problem of Tchias HaMeisim. So the Rebbe, no, it goes together. The B'meisim Chavshi is an explanation for the matzav lasad lavai, that the whole world will be permeated with the truth, with the emes, with the ratzon Hashem. Okay.
Thank you, Roger.
Amen.
Taking me on.